this is the 4.3 quantitative data of part of the assignment, and we are still looking at data collection methods. And with the quantitative data, there are 4 different types, and these are nominal, ordinal, interval, and ratio. Firstly, we have nominal data, and nominal data is categorical data, and it is used to gather percentages or ratios. For example, in a situation, the gymnast coaches want to gather data categorically, so they put the gymnasts into different categories depending on their sit and reach results, and they receive either a score of average, above average, or an excellent. And an advantage of this data is that it's quick and easy to do and read as a result that it's all written down, and it doesn't actually include numbers, so the results and scores are there for you. However, this type of collection is considered the least informative because of this factor, and it doesn't provide the information that some people might need, which is a disadvantage. Next is ordinal data, and ordinal data is the ranking of data. Ranking means it only uses numbers such as 1, 2, 3 or 4 to rank the results, and again it doesn't actually use the scores of the participants' results. So, for example, the British gymnasts are taking part in a standing board jump, and instead of anyone writing down their scores, their data is recorded as a rank. So they either get a rank of 1, 2, 3, 4 or more, depending on how many they choose. And an advantage of this is that the data is clear who in the group is succeeding and getting the best results due to their high rankings. If they get 1, you can see they're doing the best, but if they get 4, then they know they could be improving. But however, a disadvantage is that you don't actually know their scores. So, for example, the highest rank could have got 1m56, and they say the person below has got rank 2, but they could have something much significantly different, such as 98 centimetres, so you don't actually know the gap between the scores, you don't know the jump between the scores, which is obviously a very clear disadvantage of this type of data. Next is interval data, and interval data is where the level of measurement not only classifies and orders the measurements, but also specifies that the distances between each interval in the scale are equivalent along the scale from a low interval to a high interval. So, for example, the gymnasts are looking at comparing and contrasting data, and one of the data collection is weight change, and they write down their scores, and it's clear that you can see the changes of weight. And an advantage of this is that you can easily tell the difference between the scores, and you can have a minus value in your scores, so it's very informative. So, for example, you could say you weighed 56 kilograms and someone else weighed 58 kilograms. You can see the differences between them on the scale. However, a disadvantage of this is that this type of data is only really useful when you're looking in change, so it wouldn't be useful to, say, if you're collecting a whole set of data. It's not useful when you're looking at age, it's not useful when you're looking at the gender of the person, it's not useful when you're looking at that if they're a smoker or a non-smoker. So it doesn't actually tell you, only tells you specific things, and it doesn't use a lot of the data that it has. And finally is ratio data, and this type of data is actually seen as the most informative, as it's mostly uses physical measurements, and you can have 0 as a value, but you cannot have minus values in this data. So the advantage of this is, like I said before, it's the most informative, and it can tell you the your exact results. So for example, you could have someone taking part in a 100-meter sprint, and you'd know their exact time. So it would say blah blah blah, 100-meter sprint, 11 seconds, whatever. So there's no ranks, there's no ratings, it's just the exact data, which is why it's the most informative. However, even though it is good for this part of the data collection, the disadvantage is that particularly in sport, it can't be used with all types of data collection. So for example, if you're collecting a large number of things, Nominal and ordinal data would have the majority. That's the majority type of data that there is. So, for example, weight change would be interval, standing broad jump would be ordinal, sit and reach would be nominal, and saying whether someone's a smoker or not is nominal. However, things that are very particular, such as results and specific results that can't have a minus value, such as a sprint, because you can't run minus 4 seconds, this is ratio data. And ratio and interval data are the ones that can be seen as most informative, as they're quite similar. However, they're the ones that seem that with data collection they're not used as much.